Stability amid difficulty. That's what we'll be talking about for the next few minutes. I'm Mark Mellinger at the Gospel Coalition National Conference 2013, and joining me for this interview are Matt and Lauren Chandler. Good to have you both here.
It's good to be here.
Let's start with the obvious place. How's your health?
You know what, as far as we know, it's really good. I just had a scan on March 5th, and scan came back clear again. And so I've got another one in July. And so really we're in that place now where I just have to get regular scans every 4 months. Now I believe a couple more 4-monthers, and then we can move to every 6 months. And then I think once we get to 6 months, we're just every 6 months till glory.
Okay, good deal.
But yeah, I feel strong, and there's no residual effects from surgery or chemo, radiation, any of that. So
it's such a blessing. I'll never forget, it was the most moved I've ever been at a conference 3 years ago at Together for the Gospel, and John Piper prayed for you that God would eradicate the cancer. Yeah. They all laid hands on you, if I'm correct. Yeah, there was not a dry eye in the house.
I actually have a great shot of that on my desk.
What a meaningful moment.
Indeed.
I mean, did you really think at that time it was likely that you would be here 3 years later? Did you both think that?
I know at the time they'd given us 2 to 3 years, and we were still in that season where all the news we were getting was actually bad news. It wasn't until a little bit later that we actually started getting some good. So I felt early on that probably, I don't know if it was just being naive or just a gift that the Lord gave me, but I just kind of always, and Lauren can talk some of this, I just always thought it'd be all right. I just thought it'd work itself out. And so even early on after we got the prognosis, I was like, it's this, and we're going to do it. And so I thought I'd be here, and then the Lord seemed fit to make that a reality.
Go along with that,
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren, what did you think?
I hoped he would be here. I believed he would, but I think in that season the Lord was really protecting my heart and having me just focus on that day, that season, and knowing that his faith and grace would sustain me right then. And I think that's all I could really get my mind and heart around at the moment, but I hoped that he would, and I believed he would, but it was very open-handed.
How has God shaped you two during this? What have you learned about him and his character? Lauren, I'll start with you.
I think what he's done the most in me is he's grown gratitude in my heart that I'd never really experienced before, which seems opposite of what you think going through something hard, a season of suffering. You would think that would grow resentment, but instead it made me grateful for each day I have with Matt. It opened my eyes to the blessings that he has given me, just in who Matt is as a husband and a father, and then even that the Lord would love me enough to understand suffering personally, that he would lovingly appoint me to go through a season where I didn't have anything but him. And so that's what that season did for me, was more gratitude.
Can you help others who suffer better now? I mean, Scripture says that's one reason we go through this
Most
stuff.
definitely. And I feel like I can say some of the hard things to people that are going through suffering because I've been there. So the hard things to say that are truth, but with this wrapped in grace, wrapped in this love and hope and faith, but also to be like, the Lord, he is good, but he also let this into our lives, and he's going to use it, and he's going to grow gratitude in you, and all these things that you didn't think he could do before, you're going to see him do, and you're going to be grateful for it. And I think the Lord's given me an ability to speak into that, not as an outsider looking in, but as someone who's been through it and can speak honestly, and they know that my heart is for them and loves them, and that the Lord loves them too.
Matt, how did your relationship with God grow through this?
Well, I think in many ways what was a joy for me was that, as a pastor, I'm always in these rooms where there are really some awful things going on, and you can really watch God really sustain and strengthen people in the midst of what should crush them. And so theologically, I had this understanding of what God was doing and how he was interacting and with his people in those situations. And I think that season really allowed me not to just understand it kind of intellectually. It became more than just intellectual assent, actually became experiential, where now with a great deal of confidence I can talk about the peace that passes understanding. and can empathize with terrible news in a way that I couldn't empathize before. I mean, I felt empathy for, but I couldn't feel the true depths of what it's like to think in my head, I'm not going to get to walk my daughter down the aisle. I'm not going to get to see my son graduate from high school. I'm not going to get... So before, I would have empathy for those people, but I can feel it in my gut now.
This is real empathy. It's not just sympathy.
I mean, I can feel it in my... And so now, even as large as we are as a church, if there's someone that's been diagnosed with terminal cancer, I mean, I want to go. I want to... Because I can talk drugs, I can talk steroids, I can talk... And it's interesting how even something as simple as, oh, they got you on Decadron, it puts somebody at, okay, somebody's...
You can relate.
Yeah. Or, you know, even here's what happened to me on chemo. I craved Fruity Pebbles. And so, you know what? I ate them. They were God's grace to me in that season. And so even something as goofy as that, right, makes people go, oh, okay, that explains my craving for grape soda. And so that, I think that's the thing it really did, is created in me an understanding of my gut of what it's like to have your confidence in God grow while your world seems to be disintegrating.
If you ever write about this, like a full-length book, I think Pebbles of Grace would be an awesome working title. Just an idea.
Yeah. You usually have to work the word gospel in there somewhere.
Right.
I hear you. We'll have to...
Pebbles of Gospel Grace.
Something.
Gospel
Yeah,
Pebbles.
there we go. We're working something here.
I think we have
something
something
I just guarantee
here.
you some book guy's going to come up to me after this now. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Sorry about that. Yeah, okay, we're about the same age. Most couples in their 30s don't have to deal with this, with one of the spouses having cancer. How has it affected your marriage? Matt?
You know what? I say this. I feel like people think it's a kind of a trite answer, but I was just so glad-hearted at how God sustained Lauren, and then, you know, I had in my head this dream all along of fighting the good fight, running the race, being 75, 80 years old, drinking coffee with Lauren on the patio, you know, where all our kids are in ministry and doing good things for the Lord, and so it felt like a season that was kind of robbed from me, and so I think that really kind of dialed me in, as Lauren already has alluded to just the here and now and the day in, day out, life on life kind of joy I get to walk with this woman and the kids he's given me, and so in many ways it's just kind of strengthened what I thought was strong already.
Lauren, what would you add to that?
You know, and Matt said this from the stage, our first 7 years of marriage was really rough, and then the Lord just really did some healing. There was a lot of repenting going on both of our parts at that 7-year mark, and I think we were at a sweet place. Our third child had just been born, but still, even all that the Lord had done in those couple of years, I hadn't really seen tested. Yeah. And then when he went down, it was like the Lord showed me how much I really do love Matt. And those times that I would walk into the hospital room and he just wasn't him, that I loved him even when he wasn't him. Like I loved him. And I think that was just the Lord showing me. So all that testing, that 7 hard years and then the 2 sweet years up until this point, this is evidence of my grace in your life and how I've softened your heart, because I was a real self-centered, selfish woman. And I think I'd gotten to the point that I thought, you know, almost hopeless. And the Lord showed me, look, you do love your husband, and I have done this in you. And so for me personally, it's been evidence of the molding of the Lord of my heart towards Him.
And there's nothing, I mean, there's just nothing sexy about going through cancer treatments. I mean, there's just nothing sexy.
No.
So to be on the bathroom floor trying not to vomit in the fetal position and have your wife go, I'm in. I mean, that's love. That's a really beautiful countercultural picture of what love is. I mean, literally unable to do anything that I'm usually able to do in regards to helping with the kids, helping get the kitchen clean, helping with those. I mean, to really be taken out of those ways that I'm able to help and give to, and then really be in a lot of ways for a chunk of the month just trying to survive the treatment, and then to have Lauren's steadfast love become manifest as a real kind of, I mean, I think that's what that's a more biblical form of love, and the type of love I think our culture doesn't value, that kind of love of the will, that this isn't feeding my emotions right now, but I'm in it, and so I thought it was a beautiful picture.
How do you talk about this with your kids?
Well, when it all went down,
They were little.
well, two of them were really little, Nora and Reed. And so Reed, my son, our middle, just thought it was my hair. So he kept praying that my hair would come back and that God would be with my hair. And so I don't know that he, even to this day, understands the weight of it all. My youngest definitely still doesn't. She's about to be 4, and I don't know that she'll even have any memories of it. My oldest, that she was really hard to read. I mean, we were trying to just be real honest about where things were and what it looked like, and I think in the last couple of years she's become more and more aware that there's a likelihood this comes back, that there's a likelihood that Daddy doesn't live to be 60. And so we've just tried to be real honest and give her the framework to understand that God's good and given us these days, and we're praying and hoping that God gives Daddy several more decades, and she'll let us in every now and then. As a 10-year-old girl kind of plays hide and seek with their hearts, probably because they don't know them themselves. But we've had a couple of moments where you could really see she gets it at a deeper level, and so again, we've just tried to be real honest and open, and not in a way that terrifies her or paralyzes her, but that she understands that it's there, and you could feel the temperature change in our house as we get closer to scans, and there's a kind of growing anxiety that leads to kind of a low-grade agitation, and that's kind of what the mix is like a week before the scan.
Makes for a dicey household.
Yeah. Well, you have to really become self-aware of what's going on. Okay, I know the scan's coming up, so I know there's anxiety. So I know Lauren's probably here, I'm here, Audrey's probably here, so that's some dynamics that you just have to be aware of.
That's good leadership of the household, if you can think that far ahead, right?
We're 3 years in, so it's not, I'm saying that now.
Lots of practice.
I'm not saying that 2 years ago, right? So.
You both understand the preciousness of time now in a way that perhaps many of us do not. And you in particular, Matt, are so busy. Of course, a mom and wife and a pastor's wife is always busy as well. But I mean, you're doing so much pastoring at the Village. You're writing a lot. You're president of Acts 29. Yeah. I mean, how do you two decide what you say yes to and what you say no to? How do you redeem and prioritize the time?
Well, first and foremost, and I'll get into some practicalities because this just played itself out yesterday, but so for me, family's going to be first, and so we're looking at family calendars down, where are birthdays, where are anniversaries, where are kids' events, where are there festivals at school, so let's get that down. And then, okay, now let's get the Village Church down, because if I fail as a father here, I'm now disqualified to lead here. So father, husband, then pastor of the Village. So my primary love and passion is the Village Church, after my family, after my relationship with the Lord. And then from there, now what kind of margin do we have this year? And then with that margin, I'm primarily going to pour into Acts 29. So even something like being at the Gospel Coalition, for me, has a lot to do with Acts 29. In regards to learning from guys and connecting with some of our guys that are here in the hopes of forging legitimate gospel partnerships to plant churches that are serious about the Word of God, serious about the mission of God, and are serious about planting churches that plant churches. And so it goes through the 829 grid, and then I like to, and this will probably get the comment section going, but
it wouldn't be the first time.
I like to really, and I like to get outside of the Reformed community several times. I just don't want to speak to the same 5,000 young 20-somethings over and over and over again. And so my preference is to hit streams that would be viewed, unfortunately, by some to be outside of maybe even the stream of evangelicalism, which I've found to be silly.
Well, I think you and David Platt, God has blessed uniquely with an ability to get outside of that zone. I mean, the gospel's the gospel. Calvinist, Arminian,
Yeah.
Well, you know, whatever, traditional.
Be careful, bro. Live audience.
I know, and nobody's come at me with torches just yet. Lauren, anything you want to add about how you prioritize your time? Our time's almost gone.
Matt said it just well as I would. So yeah, just making sure that really our family's taken care of, that they see that we, I mean, they are our first priority, and that they're not all saved. Our oldest is, but our other two, we are witnessing to, evangelizing, and discipling. And so really they're our first little disciples in our home that we are accountable to. And so we want to, yes, say you matter to us and make the big things, but we also want to take them with us on some things too, to see, look what the gospel looks like in Kenya. Look what the Lord's doing there. Look what he's doing, you know, in California or wherever. And so I think that's something we also like to do in scheduling our time, is where can we bring our kids with us and do this together.
And Lauren sits on the team that ferrets all my external speaking requests. So there's never been, that's an overstatement. I rarely ever travel where she has not said, that's a good idea, I think you should go there.
That's a good plan. It's a good way to do it.
She sits on the team that ferrets through all my requests.
Blessing being with you both. Matt and Lauren Chandler, thanks for the time.
Thank you both. All right.